everybody. This is Nathaniel Provencio by way of Knoxville, Tennessee, in some Marriott somewhere. Dr. Worcester, you ever been to Knox, Vegas?
Of course, the Sun Sphere. I think that's all I got. But the Sun Sphere is great, and I went to they have a campus there. I saw a production of Hair done in Knoxville. Yep,
it's pretty good.
Knoxville's
very
great.
nice.
I like Knoxville. I do
it's
like
pretty
Knoxville.
Good. Looking forward to some down home fried cooking tonight. So some kind of Avanti. Have you ever been to Knoxville?
I haven't.
Oh,
good place. Not too big. It's a good little city. Not far from Nashville.
I want to go to a football game, Worcester, over here. I want to see a Vols game. It's like 100,000 people wearing orange. Like that's like
powerful.
It's pretty powerful, but not as powerful as mathematics, right, Avanti? What's going on?
That's right.
Look at that, huh? On the show, we've got Avanti Yamamoto from Richmond/Mechanicsville, your Virginia Teacher of the Year. What's going on, Avanti? How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, we're all right. You know, of all the places to be in the world, you are joining us on the Community Connection.
So, Avanti, I'd love to hear what got you into education in the first place.
So I actually was never supposed to be a teacher. I was always supposed to be a doctor.
All right.
In my culture, it is not an accepted profession to become a teacher. We must become doctors or engineers or lawyers, but not teachers. So I went to college as a biomathematics major. But in my third year of school, I had an amazing professor, Dr. Craig Larson, who found this passion for teaching in me that I didn't even know I had. And that's why I decided to pursue education. But when I applied to our teaching program, I was actually rejected from it. So
I like that. I see that chip. I see that chip on the shoulder, Teacher of the Year.
Well, unfortunately, as a young person, I wish that I could have said like I'll show you sort of thing, but I wasn't. I was so devastated, so discouraged. They told me like that no school was ever going to want to hire me. And so I interpreted that as no student should ever be taught by me. And so I decided to go be a doctor, and I worked in the ER. I took my MCATs. I did everything short of actually applying to medical school, because when I sat down to do it, I looked at that application and I was like, I cannot do this. This is not for me. I am supposed to be a teacher. So I got a provisional license, and I fought that imposter syndrome that I had built in my head for so long through just learning as much as I possibly can, reading books, listening to podcasts, going to conferences, doing coaching cycles with my math coach. But I want to be the teacher that every kid deserves to be taught by. And that's what drives me to learn as much as I possibly can.
Man, what a story. I wanted to be a transformer, or, like the robot. I thought that was logical, or a post office worker. I didn't think teaching was in my trajectory, but hey, man, the universe does crazy things, right? So are your parents proud of you, or is it like whether they're proud of me or not, it doesn't matter?
To start,
that was deep.
Yeah.
That was deep. Sorry, Mom and Dad. I mean, you know, come on now. What's up?
They are definitely proud of me. They want me, like, as a Teacher of the Year. My dad has connected me back with my village in India, and I've been doing these like webinars with teachers over there and giving them professional learning workshops and things like that, and having these really meaningful conversations with them, answering their questions, and it's been really amazing. I come from a small village, so we're not in like the city proper, but it's so they don't have access to the same sort of professional learning we have in America. So I love being able to give back to them and share any sort of knowledge that I pick up over here. So that's been really, really cool.
I'm proud of you. I am
you.
so proud of you. You know what I mean? That's outstanding. One of my best friends is from India. And I'm always amazed, Eric, when I hear the stat that India is the second largest English-speaking democracy in the world.
Second largest?
Second largest.
Who's the first?
America.
They're bigger. They're much bigger than we are.
What is the second largest English speaking democracy? Drum roll, please. You know what? It's India.
Wow.
That's pretty outstanding. So yes, Eric, you are correct, sir. India is the largest English-speaking democracy.
Thank you.
And your village, you said your village where your family is from the south of India.
Yes. So I'm from a village outside of Hyderabad. Hyderabad is like the major city. And so I'm from a village outside of that called Mantani.
So I got to ask this question because it is powerful because you mentioned that your family was either a lawyer, doctor,
engineer,
right, or engineer, and nothing else in between. I'm going to ask a question just out of I'm fascinated by that. Why is that like a ticket out of poverty? Is it a way to just continue things? Tell me about this, because I think that's a fascinating thing for our listeners.
Yeah, and it's not just me. I mean, it's not just me, and it's not just being Indian. It is a common thing that immigrant children go through. And I think it stems from this idea that my parents worked tirelessly to come to America. My dad, as soon as he graduated from India, that was his ticket to America, and he got accepted into an engineering program in Alabama. He worked as a chicken farmer while he was earning his degree. He didn't have a car. He had a bike that he got at a yard sale that got stolen. And then he got enough money. He saved enough money to bring my mom to America after 6 months. And once he graduated, he drove up and down the East Coast looking for a job. So, and then he lived the American dream. I mean, he retired from the DOD. He's super, super successful.
Wow.
And so he worked really, really hard to create this life for his children. So he doesn't ever want to see us struggle.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the narrative that has to change, because choosing a life of being a teacher doesn't mean you're choosing a life of struggle. It doesn't mean that you give up a high-paying salary and you give up all these extra hours. That's not true. And we have to stop saying those things about being a teacher. Yeah. You don't have to do that. You don't have to take work home. You don't have to. I mean, salary-wise, I've always been fine. You know, and but I think that that's what they think when they think my child is going to be a teacher. That means my child is going to be XYZ. Right. And so that's where it comes from. Because as a profession, teachers are highly respected in our culture. But as something that our children are to pursue, that's a different story entirely. Yeah. So
I think we have, like you said, I think at least where I live, the money is okay. Could always be more. I would always want our teachers to make more, but I don't know that it's necessarily the money so much as just the social prestige or lack thereof that makes people worry about that.
Versus being a doctor. I mean, come on.
That social prestige is humongous. But like you said, in many other countries, Nathaniel and I had a chance to go to China. I worked overseas in Europe, and the level of prestige given to the educators in both of those places is so much more than it is here. So people dream of their kids being teachers, whereas they tend not to have that same dream, unfortunately, here in the United States.
And I think that advocating for a teaching profession, it's very simple. You just talk about how much you love it. And I know that there are tough days. There are tough days in any job, any profession. Every profession has tough days. But I feel that I have more good days. I have more moments of joy than I do bad days and bad moments. You have to talk about that. You have to focus on that. I mean, that's a life practice, right? We have to focus on the positives in our lives. Yeah. And that is the best form of advocacy for our profession. If they know that the teaching field is filled with people who love what they do, what could be more attractive to an aspiring teacher? That's how you get people that want to be teachers.
That's right. Yeah, who love what they do and take it very professionally.
Yes.
And believe and act as if the position was prestigious.
Right. You cannot advocate for this profession to be prestigious by saying that it is not prestigious.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
I love it.
You have to be like, I am in the greatest profession ever. Come be a teacher. This rocks.
Yes.
And that's not, and here's the thing. Sorry, all you negative people out there. That's not toxic positivity. That is the truth.
Right.
And I got to tell you, we've all got those what they call break rooms, right? We've all got those break rooms, right? Where it's like we come in and like, I get it, like we're all human and we can be annoyed by things and things are going to get to us and we're all going to have our bad days. But man, if I had, give me 3 Avantis in a staff, and that
you can move mountains.
I can move freaking mountains, right? Because I get it. Negativity is more contagious than positivity. I guess it's something with the way we're wired with our brains.
It's easier to pull down than
pull up.
Yeah.
But man, I got to tell you, you give me 3 to 5 Avantis. Oh, we'll be the highest performing school in Virginia. So I hope you got some more Avantis in your high school. You know what I mean?
I mean, I definitely have tough moments, right? And I definitely need to vent about them too. And, and I rely on my coworkers. And I'm like, I went up to my next door teacher today and I was like, I just need to vent.
Of course.
And I did, right? And I vent and I confide in her and then I feel better. Yeah. And that allows me to then go back into my classroom and speak and lead with joy. Right. By getting that off my chest, I have somebody to talk to about it. But I do not go out into the public and talk about how much this job is frustrating. Yeah. I don't, because at the end of the day, I vent, then I let it go. Yeah. You just gotta let it go. Don't sit in that. Right? Find these moments of joy and bask in that. And that's what you talk about. I love my kids. I am so heartbroken that the year is about to end and that I am never going to teach this group of children ever again. And I tell my kids that. My kids are like, aren't you so excited that it's almost summer? And I'm like, no, I'm never going to teach you again.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
Avanti, how long have you been teaching?
Since, oh my goodness, 2014. This is my 11th year of teaching.
Wow.
So I'd love to hear over that time, just how has your thinking about education evolved? How do you teach differently now in year 11 than you did in year 1 or year 2?
So year 1, year 2, year 3 even we're all about just survival and trying to figure out, learn my content. I mean, I have 2 degrees in math and I still was like, whew, what is this concept? Like, because it's not just about remembering the concept, but you have to know it in such a way that you can then teach it. And so over time, my philosophy has changed as far as what it means to learn. And I've realized that just because you said it doesn't mean the kids learned it.
Very true.
And so I talk as little as I can. So I would say over the past 11 years, I have talked less and less and less and less in my classroom. And the less I talk, the more my kids talk. And when my students are learning and they are exploring and they are talking, that's when the learning is happening. So, I mean, I could stand up there and I'm happy to do 15 problems for you, but that doesn't mean that you have learned it.
Yep.
So now I take that same content. So I spent those 3 years just learning my content, like inside and out, backwards and forwards. And over time, I have figured out a way to turn over the learning to my kids. And I've read a lot of books. I've done a lot of research to figure out how to best do that. The best book I've read is Building Thinking Classrooms.
Yep.
After I read that book, it transformed my entire classroom. And now my students, they learn and they make connections. Like there is no regurgitation, memorization in my class. Everything is rooted in understanding. And my students take pride in their understanding and their ability to explain things and make connections. And so that's how
so let me pull that thread a little bit. I think Building Thinking Classrooms is great. Is that something you did on your own? Was that a division initiative? What guides your professional learning?
So what guides my professional learning is my kids. I'm grateful that in Hanover County, you have 14 hours and you get to use those hours in any capacity that you want to grow. There is no required professional learning. So I get to look at myself as a practitioner and my students and say, where do I need to grow? Building Thinking Classrooms was a book study option that our county had one year that you could sign on to participate in. So as a county-wide thing. So we all got a copy of the book and then we would read it and we would meet over Zoom and we would talk about it. And it was purely optional. It was whoever was interested in that book. So that's how I got into my hands. And then I have a math coach who, I mean, I would not be the teacher I am without her. Like she is amazing. And I was like, I want to do this book, but I don't know how to do that. So we did a coaching cycle and she helped me through all of it. And mind you, this was only a couple of years ago. I think that there's this stigma that's like only people who have not been teaching for that long, or are not very good at teaching, they're the only ones who should be using a math coach. And it's just not true. Everyone needs a coach. Even Michael Jordan had a coach. Everybody needs a coach. And your math coaches, your instructional coaches, they are the best resources in your building. Everybody should do a coaching cycle at some point.
You hear that, everybody? The Virginia Teacher of the Year has a coach. She's not brand new, and she sure ain't broken. Look at that. Yeah.
And said every teacher should do a coaching cycle.
Yes.
At your school, or even in your, your understanding, how often do you collaborate with your math department to kind of maximize their impact? Or is that not necessarily the setting that you're currently in? It's like, Avanti, she's going to come in, she's going to kick butt, she's going to do kind of her thing. Or is it with a team, or I guess it would be department, or maybe not so much? I'm very curious about that, because there's no right or wrong answer, maybe more of a kind of like a belief and culture kind of like perspective.
Oh, I believe there is a correct answer to this.
Ooh.
I do. Our department is a unit. We are a unit, and we have a collective goal. Even though we all teach different languages, right? Like geometry, algebra, trigonometry, statistics, these are all different languages. But we come together every August at the start of the school year, and we have a collective mission. And our goal this year, for example, is to increase student discourse. We want to talk less, and we want our kids to talk more. So every month we come together and we do professional learning on how we can increase student discourse. Every content has their own common content team, and they have a designated planning period. So my pre-calculus team, we come together every V1 and we plan everything, every lesson, every notes, every assessment that we do. We talk about where are our students' misconceptions, what are we going to do about it? And it's not required. None of this is mandatory, but we do this because we want to, and we know that there are more powers in numbers. So we always prioritize meeting. And if we have 3 B1s in a week, we are meeting at least 2 of them, if not all 3 of them.
It's so interesting the difference between like things you're forced to do and things you want to do.
Oh yeah.
Like you take things you are invested in and like, and when somebody tells you have to, I think then the desire for that thing can go down, because now you're being told you have to do that.
Well, I think that is the power of leadership, and you have to present things in a certain way that you get your team to commit to those things. So when we first introduced common content, I did not say you are required to, but I led them through this exercise where they found the value in it. And then they came up with their own collective commitments. So they decided I asked them, how often do you all think you should meet? And they came up with the time that they said we should be meeting twice a week for at least 45 minutes. And that's what they do. So part of my role as a department leader is I do learning walks, and if they're non-evaluative, I just purely go in and I collect data, and I see every single department member at least once in a month. And I just collect data, just tracking our goal. And based off of what I see, I tailor professional learning at each department meeting to help us all collectively grow. So we are a unit as a department, and then we have our common contents. And then as a department, we have a goal of student discourse. And so these common contents drive the content forward to provide the best learning for our kids. And then as a whole department, we recognize we want our kids to move in this way. And so we all focus on that together.
See, Eric, this is my dilemma from a principal's perspective. I've got Avanti just like kicking all kinds of butt with that math department, and they're creating that shared goal. But I don't have a culture of collaboration in my school. Meanwhile, the language arts department, I don't know what the hell they're doing. They're just like, reading poetry and stuff like that. They're not doing anything. So to me, it's almost like malpractice not to have that kind of, what the math department's doing is best practice. It's collective teacher efficacy, right?
Yes, it is. That's exactly right.
And why would I not want that in all of my teams? And then hire people that understand that is our culture. And if you don't want to do it, it doesn't mean you're a bad teacher. It's just you're not working with Avanti, So I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting. And now, are other teams doing that? Are other departments doing that? Avanti, what's going on?
So we have 5 of. I'm a department leader, so I'm 11 months, and so it's us, science, English, history, and SPED. all 5 of the department chairs are called department leaders in 11 month, and we teach 5 of 8. So that 6th class is the time when we do the learning walks. It's like designated time. So it's built, and this is a county thing. This is not a school thing. This is in every high school in Hanover County. This is what we're all doing. So I think, to your point, you have to embed that in your leaders, right? You have to cultivate that leadership. I think it's incredibly important. I think so often we focus on teachers, but you have another layer here, and you have leaders. You have department leaders that you have to empower and help them believe in their leadership skills and cultivate those skills. So as a division, that's happening at Hanover. So all of the department leaders come together once a month, and it's all about cultivating our leadership skills, and they help us figure out what we need to focus on. And then I have those skills in my pocket so that I can go back to my department and I can lead them appropriately, right? So
is that across all the whole county? Do they do like teacher leadership training for you all? How is that rolled out? Like how is the department leader selected? I'm just curious as to the process for that.
Oh yeah, so it's an interview process. So you interview, and then you get your department leader, and so we have division-wide department leader meetings. Okay. So all the department leaders come together for that.
Got it.
That's outstanding.
And you have an 11-month contract.
Yes.
All right. And I love the peer observation. I think you can just learn differently when it's a non-evaluative kind of relationship.
Yeah.
What have you seen, or how have you helped people grow?
So when I go into their rooms, I just observe, and even though it's not evaluative, I always leave them a glow note. So here's something wonderful that I saw. I think so often teachers focus on the negatives in our practice. After a lesson, we're just like, these 7 things went wrong. And it's so hard to see like the 17 things that went right. So I see my role as finding those glow moments, and I just love to tell them about it. And I'm like, this is like a tiny thing that you said. I don't think you even realized you did that, but that was amazing. And so I tell them that, and then it's usually like something that's maybe tied to our goal, and then that just encourages them to do that some more. And then I might put in like a little bit of feedback that's like, maybe you could try this, or I wonder,
that specific affirmation is a fantastic leadership method to use. Because people, they want to be praised, and if it's something that you're looking for, like discourse, like you said, then people they eat that up, and that promotes, like we say with our students, find the positive and talk about it. Same thing for adults, find the positive, the specific positive. Now, you were doing great, but I noticed at this moment you said this and you did this, and I saw the impact from that. That will encourage them to keep doing those things. So great job.
Exactly. Thank you. Well, I know my individual department members' strengths and where they need to further their learning. And so I always try to pinpoint it on something about that.
Yeah, it's great.
Avanti, I got two comments on that. Number one, doesn't it sound a lot like what medical professionals do with like the rounds and everything, and like having teams of doctors and come in, like, and maybe like giving that feedback? I mean, I don't know any true profession that doesn't do that exact same thing. Would you agree to that?
I think if you ever want to grow, no matter what you do, you need feedback. You
got to have feedback.
You got to have feedback, and you have to be open to it. As a practitioner, I want you to come into my room and tell me what I'm doing well, but what I can do better so that I can better those things. I think it is something that is so often missed in this profession.
Yeah.
I don't think that we get enough feedback in what we do.
Yeah. Avanti, I have a question on that. And I have to apologize in advance. This may sound like a crazy question. Okay. I have this theory that as professional educators, my theory is we do not watch enough game film of us teaching.
Oh yeah.
I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee, it's like home of the Vols. Those college football players, I'm a big college football player, they watch copious amounts of game film. They watch themselves on Saturday, they watch themselves in practice, they're watching, they've got coaching. But then I don't think us as teachers watch enough game film.
You're right. That's why I encourage every teacher to pursue their national board certification, because that is intensive game time film. Like, one whole component is just about videoing you, but the other 2 components are about reflecting in what you've said and what you've done and help you get better.
But I'm going to push you, Avanti. Okay. Let's say I don't want to get my national board, and it's I don't think it should be a choice. I think as professionals, you will watch yourself teach. And then this is something else that I think about, because Eric and I have probably done 1,000 teacher interviews in our day. And there's always a filtration of our own perspective when we're watching a teacher. Like, I never taught kindergarten, and here I am evaluating kindergarten. I never taught biology, and here I am giving feedback on biology. Never taught chemistry or Latin or whatever, and here I am giving feedback. Yeah. I always think the person best suited to give feedback is the person that's watching the film and having a coach have guiding questions to do
there
that.
You go.
So I get it, right? I know national board certification is not, but I got to push you, Avanti. I think everybody needs to watch themselves teach all the time, because we teach blindfolded.
We do.
And I think the data, whether it's CFAs or summative assessments, that's just one piece of data. Everything else. And then some people, like the Jim Knight, and we're going to have Jim Knight on our show, he's like the coaching kind of guru. We'll talk about coaching through invitation. But I just think it's just a matter of culture. So I don't know, Avanti, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. Who knows? You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on that? I get it. National board certification, yes, but even more than that.
Yes, I agree. It's also extremely uncomfortable to watch yourself teach.
Right.
And I
know
think
why? Because we don't do it.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think that's really good to be uncomfortable. Like it's in the uncomfortability that you get better, right? Like when you're working out at the gym and suddenly it's like really hard, like those are the ones that count, right?
Right.
You should be as uncomfortable as possible, and that's how we will grow. Yeah. Because in order to be an effective teacher, you have to constantly be learning, constantly. Like research changes, research grows, the kids change. Everything is constantly changing. Even the kids you meet in August are different by January.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So if you don't continue to learn in this, you're letting your kids down.
Yeah, it's just
Nathaniel,
yes, sir.
I want to affirm what you just said.
All right, good.
I do agree with you 100%. That is extremely
Finally, Dr. Worcester agrees with
powerful.
Me on something.
But like you said, it is painful, but seeing yourself and reflecting with a coach, both things that you mentioned, Nathaniel, I think are one of the best ways, and hardest, but that's how you improve. So I agree totally.
Because this is what I would do. I would say, Avanti, listen, you're going to wear this little transmitter, this little microphone. I'm not even going to be in your class. You're just going to set up that iPad and you're just going to teach. I'm not even going to be in there. But then I want you to watch it, and then I want you to tell me. You tell me the things that you did awesome, and you tell me what you found, and then we'll just take it from there.
Yes.
But I ain't going to make you nervous with my clipboard going there like doing this stuff. You know what I mean? Because you're already like the affective filter is already going crazy. Just teach. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think that coach piece of it is crucial, though, because if you don't have that, you will only see the negatives. And you have to have a good coach that's going to help you see the positives as well.
See, Avanti's thinking right now. She's like, maybe I'm going to start.
I know, I'm like, I need to go talk to my coach tomorrow.
There you go.
Recording is great. Avanti, as Teacher of the Year, what are your responsibilities? What do you do? What kind of feedback have you gotten?
My responsibilities. I see myself as an advocate for the teaching profession, and elevating Virginia educators as much as I possibly can. I try to do that through my blog, Beyond the Bell.
It's great, by the way.
Thank you. I speak around the state. I visited different universities, different counties, different events, and I will speak. I see myself as an advocate for spreading positivity about this profession. And advocating for things that could help it be better. So one of the main things that I advocate for, I have a couple of buckets.
All right, hit us.
One of mine is about advocating for national board certification, and I think it should be something that every teacher should be able to do for free. I think the state should. I mean, it is the most amazing, beneficial professional learning experience I have ever gone through. After I achieved, within 2 years, I became the Teacher of the Year. That's not a coincidence. I became a different teacher through the process. And I'm very fortunate because in Hanover, our county pays for 100% of it. I barely paid anything for to achieve certification. And there are states that will pay for all of it. Like in Maryland, they will pay for 100% of it. They had 1,000 NBCTs last year. And I think every teacher should have access to that, because when you are an NBCT, you are becoming the best teacher possible for your children. So that's my one bucket. I also advocate for belonging. I believe that every child, no matter their background, learning ability, language, deserves to have access and feel like they belong in every single classroom.
Love it.
And you know, as a daughter of immigrants, I didn't really have that experience growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to advocate from that perspective for educators to realize you have children like me in your classrooms and what you can do to help them feel like they belong.
All right, Avanti, I got a technical question. I know we're going to get ready to wrap up a little bit, but like the art and alchemy and of just classroom teaching blows me away, right? Whether you're teaching geometry or trig or calculus or Latin or whatever, like there's an art and alchemy. You talked about like productive struggle with your students, and I think that's outstanding. When Eric and I went to China, Eric, one of the things I noticed is that the kids were working really, really hard in groups, and they were working really, really hard by themselves. And the teacher was more of the facilitator, more of the guide on the side, not the sage on the stage. It sounds like that's kind of your modus operandi. So just what lesson, what class do you teach? Is it geometry, trig? What do you teach exactly?
I teach pre-calculus.
Pre-calculus.
Yeah.
So talk me through a pre-calculus lesson for our listeners that's just like the bomb diggity.
Well, all of them are.
I'm sure.
There we go.
Best class ever.
Yes.
But I completely agree with you that teachers are not information tellers. We are knowledge facilitators. So everything that I do is about facilitating that knowledge for them to gain understanding. So so every lesson that I teach, I do it's called thin slicing. So it gets progressively more challenging as they work through the problems, because most math concepts are rooted in prior knowledge. So I give them that opportunity to access that prior knowledge, and then I just slowly build on it. So if I'm teaching just like a basic equations, I'll just be like, you know, like blank plus 3 equals 5. What goes in the blank? We can all do that. And then it's just going to get progressively more and more challenging as they go through, but they feel like they can tackle it the entire time. And so that concept of thin slicing is from the book Building Thinking Classrooms. That's where I learned that technique, and then perfected it I'm constantly perfecting it. I'm never going to be perfect at it with my math coach. And so then after they've made all of these connections and they've collaborated there in random groups of 3 at vertical whiteboards, I will consolidate their understanding. So my notes are a graphic organizer, and they're not my notes at all, because I think we all organize information in different ways. And so I give that organizer to my kids, and they will take that knowledge from the boards and they will organize it however makes the most sense to them. And it's 1 page. So I will formalize definitions like, by the way, that thing that you've been doing, it's called the one-to-one property. And here's how you write a general solution for a trigonometric equation. They need those formal connections. And those are the things that I will do for them. And then I might do like an example, go through it really slowly and really talk about all of the good things. But by that time, they've already made the connections on their own. So all I'm doing is just like bringing it together. So for those notes, it's just 1 page, 4 boxes. They get those notes on their quizzes. And so there's a lot of investment from my students into making really good notes that make sense to them. And I think that's a really important skill that we have to teach our kids.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we get so trapped in giving them these closed notes, like fill in the blank sort of things. And I think that when we give notes to kids, we are giving them information in a way that makes sense to us, right? Like if I was learning this is how I would organize this information, but I'm not the one learning. I already know this. You are the one learning. So you need to organize the information in a way that makes sense to you. So if a kid is absent, they actually ask their classmates for their notes. They don't want my notes. They want theirs because they want to see how they organized everything. I also recognize that my students come to me with math anxiety. I work really hard to build a positive math identity in my classroom. Everything I do is centered around that. And I know that one thing that really eases math anxiety is having their notes with them. I've collected a lot of data about this over the years, and that's the number one thing that I know helps my students just feel better. And we know, like, if you don't know the content, having your notes doesn't magically teach it to you.
Right.
But just the fact that they have it, it's like the security blanket for them. They feel better just being able to like look over really quick. And like they just makes them feel better about these. So there's just these little micro moves that I have embedded throughout my classroom to help ease their to help ease their math anxiety and create this positive math identity. Because at the end of the day, I don't really teach content. I feel I teach thinking, I teach logic, and I teach students how to build their self-efficacy and their self-confidence. When you walk out of my classroom, I don't need you to be a master at trigonometry, but I want you to believe that you can tackle the world.
Avanti, education is kind of the story business. Do you have a quick story to share with us where you inspired one of your students to tackle the world?
Sure. Oh man, you want me to pick one story? Oh my goodness.
Only one.
Only one. Okay. Whew. So the very first student that I met at Atlee High School had this obsession with just like hating math. He's like, flash drive was named I hate math.
All right. Yeah.
Top of his graphing calculator in all capital letters and Sharpie said I hate math. And he would write me poems and sonnets about how much he hated math.
All right.
And I learned over time that the reason why he hated math was because it's just stemmed from like this lack of self-confidence in it. And so I worked so hard. I just wanted him to know it doesn't matter how much you hate it. When you raise your hand, I'm going to be right there for you. And I'm going to cheer you on. And I'm just going to tell you that you can do it. And so over time, that just changed for him. And he decided to take pre-calculus the following year with me. And as a senior, he got the math award at graduation. And so he's graduated, right? And now he works for the Virginia Court of Appeals. And he wrote to me and he said, I use the critical thinking skills you've taught me every day, but the thing that you taught me the most was just believing in me. And and then he also made sure to tell me that there's no math in anything.
All right, great.
When he's paying them taxes, I tell you that much. You know what I mean? So that's a great story. Avanti, listen, our time is almost up, but Eric is probably one of the most inspirational. I mean this seriously, one of the most inspirational podcasts that we've had, because we talk a lot with authors and thought leaders and gurus out there, but we don't talk enough with educators that are in the classroom.
Yep.
And Avanti, I was when I was preparing for this show, I was fascinated by your name, Avanti, and I got two meanings for your name, so just bear with me. So, and you probably already know this. Do you know the origin of your name, Avanti? You know where that comes from?
Yeah, I
do. Okay, so tell me about the origin of your name.
So my name is Avanti. This is how you say it.
Yep.
And it is another name for the goddess Lakshmi. Is a Hindu goddess.
That's awesome. And it's also a kingdom in
India. It is.
Right?
Avanti Nagaram was a kingdom, but the kingdom was named after goddess Lakshmi. So.
There you go. There you go. And this kingdom was known for its wisdom and its wealth, right? And then, so your wisdom, right, through your name and your legacy, right, kind of like carrying this legacy of your family and of your culture and of your passion for educators and wisdom is just spot on. I love it.
Thank you.
And another definition for Avanti is to move forward.
In Italian.
In Italian, right? Very, very good, right? And so I just love the way that you're promoting education and educators, the beautiful art and alchemy of this wonderful profession that makes all professions possible. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. And thank you so much for joining us on the Community Connection. What a pleasure.
And Avanti, where can people find you again?
So you can find my blog, which is wordpress.beyondthebell.com. And my Instagram is VAToy2025. And you can find me on LinkedIn.
TikTok?
Well.
You on TikTok?
No, I'm not on TikTok.
Smart. Gotta get a TikTok.
Well, I am personally on TikTok, but I don't have a professional account on TikTok. I don't have any videos or anything like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
I worked hard on my algorithm to get it to be on the positive side of teaching. It is possible. You just have
I love it.
Yep.
No.
Well, we appreciate all that you're doing to elevate our profession. Like Nathaniel said, we do love it so much, and we need all the positive advocates that we can get. So thank you for all that you're doing to inspire and motivate all of our teachers here in Virginia and throughout the country.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This was fun.